Straight ahead on Life on Air, the host of New Day Cleveland, Kristi Capel, is here to talk about how previous jobs in news helped lay the foundation for her hosting career.
Well, I had many years under my belt of ad-libbing, and then once you're in the entertainment industry, most of it's ad-lib.
Plus, the one thing she did that opened the door to her entire on-air career.
The first day, they asked me if I wanted to report on the morning show. I'm like, huh?
Former Miss Missouri, Kristi Capel, is next on Life on Air. Hey everybody, welcome to Life on Air. My name is Tim Tialdo, and you have reached the podcast for the TV hosting industry. Of course, my job is to connect you with the experts and help you to become the best TV host you can be. Now today, I have a very, very special guest for you. She is quite a trip. I think that's probably how I'll describe it. And, to describe a little bit of our past relationship, when I worked in my last news market in Springfield, Missouri, she was at one of the rival stations as a weather girl, and she was peppy. Let's just put it that way. She was great, and I just thought she had a lot of talent, and I knew this girl was going places, and we ended up developing a relationship, and after we got out of news, worked together in some other businesses, and she has now moved on. She is the host of New Day Cleveland, and yeah, she's doing some other things as well. So Kristi Capel, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's good to be here. It's so crazy talking to Tim like we're professionals.
I know, and when we're not.
Because on the phone, we're just crazy.
Normally, we just would drive to work and have some fun in the car.
Right.
So you just
How have you been?
I'm doing good. You just got out of the studio, and I understand you had the Wayans brothers in today.
Oh my gosh, they are a trip. You probably remember them. I watched the Wayans show when I was 15 or 16 years old, because I think it ended in 98 or late 90s. So it's just kind of like when I was getting into that whole, junior high school age. And I used to watch them all the time. And it's so funny. They're both like in their 40s now, still funny as ever, but personable at the same time. And it's funny because when they see themselves on the monitor, they just go. There's no interview. It's just them. And you just sit there and laugh. So, yeah, we had a really good time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you probably just said, hi, welcome to the show, and let them go.
Yeah, basically. we had my fashionista is what I call her, who dresses me for the show, and she had a segment on today, and she had already had her mannequins set up with the clothes, and they destroyed that, and they put the jackets on that she had on the mannequins, and it was just out of control.
Very nice, very nice. But hey, Kristi, I want to do our audience a favor here. I want to go back to your past a little bit, because you started in news, and before that, you were Miss Missouri. And
yeah.
As we well know in this business, a lot of former pageant title holders kind of make that transition and be on TV. So kind of talk about your path.
Well, Miss Missouri was probably about 2006, but even going farther back, I actually got started in the TV business with my grandparents, because they had their own Christian television show in North Carolina. So, I got my toes wet, as a kid, and then went to school, but then knew as soon as I went to college that was what I was going to study. I was going to waste no time. I was going to get right into broadcasting and communications, and then I went from there. And I always stress when I go and speak to schools that an internship is so important, because my internship, the first day, they asked me if I wanted to report on the morning show. I'm like, huh? I'm still in school. So here I was taking 17 credit hours in college, and then getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning and going in and being a morning show reporter. It was kind of like, fun, fluff stories. So it was crazy how I got started. But from there, it was like, what I really want to do. I loved sports at the time. I interned in sports, and then I ended up never going back. I love sports. I grew up with two athletic brothers. My dad's a football coach and athletic director, and I thought that's what I wanted to do. But then once I got introduced to other things, then things were a little bit more widespread, and I started dipping my toes in other things. And one was weather. It's crazy, and I went back to school for another 3 years, and I ended up getting my meteorology degree. And I used that in the next market when I moved to Northeast Pennsylvania and Wilkes-Barre. So after that, I did weather for 3 years, and now I'm in Cleveland. And now my world has completely changed again. I started out doing traffic and helicopter, and then hosting this show, New Day Cleveland, which is something I've always wanted to try and do, just didn't know if I could. And so far that's been going so well. And then they took me off of traffic, and now I'm anchoring the news in the morning. So I think I've done everything in this business. Now I just have to hone my skills at certain things. And, you know, it's the whole Miss Missouri thing. Yeah, I wasn't a pageant girl. I was an athlete growing up. I did a few pageants here and there because my mom thought when I was little, hey, why don't we do some girly things? I'm like, okay. And then I always watched Miss USA on TV and thought, you know, that'd be fun to do. And I won. The first time, I was not even expecting it. I went to Miss USA, Donald Trump's organization, and I had the time of my life, and it was such a great experience. And yeah, Miss Missouri has, you know, helped me, you know, because you learn so much about yourself, and you learn to do interviews, and you learn to be in front of people and be on stage, and that can only help with this business. So that's kind of where I got started and where I'm at now, and life is so good.
Well, in addition to Miss Missouri, I mean, you hit on some really good points there in terms of training ground for being a host. I mean, you were a former athlete, you were a volleyball player, so you got involved in sports, and then you were a weather girl. And I don't think a lot of people understand that when you get into the business, how influential being in the weather studio can be in terms of learning how to ad-lib and transition and segue from story to story.
Absolutely. And that was actually the number one thing that I thought of and that people have said to me, because when you do weather, you're talking to a camera. There are no scripts like you would think that an anchor has, and you're constantly studying models when you're off camera. That way you know what you're talking about once you go on camera. And so all that is ad lib. And I had worked on that for, 6 years, because when I started out, when I was done with the entertainment reporting at my first job that I mentioned I had my internship at, I went straight into weather. And then from there, I went to Northeast PA and did all weather. And so I had many years under my belt of ad-libbing. And then once you're in the entertainment industry, most of it's ad-lib. You've got guests such as the Wayans brothers, who knows what's going to happen. You know what I mean? You're just going to have to go with the flow and be able to ad-lib. And even as a news anchor, you have your scripts, but you're tossing out to reporters and learning how to ad-lib with them. And it's just your ad-libbing skills are so important in this business, and especially because it helps you work as a natural once you're on camera and you can kind of carry the show. So, yeah, I think weather really helped me with everything that I'm doing now. And I'm not even doing it. So I spent tons of money going back to school for no reason, but I can always fall back on it.
Now, you and I have both had the fortune of being local lifestyle hosts, which means you're still kind of in the news markets, but you're still kind of a host. And, as you made your graduation from Springfield to Wilkes-Barre, now to Cleveland, kind of talk about how that transition from more of a weather news girl into a host has kind of happened and unfolded for you.
Well, you start out doing, weather and having a little bit of that reporting under your belt. But when you move from market to market, obviously it's a little bit different. Now that I'm in Cleveland, it's a bigger market, but some people jump, straight to that big market. And I always say, work your way up, because there's so many things that you learn when you work at each station, and you learn to work with your co-host, and you practice your own skills of what you have, and you hone those every market that you go to. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, I've had an agent, and they've helped me along the way, and it's helped. But gosh, I started out in mid-70s market in Springfield, Missouri, and that was good for me. But everybody has their own path, and everybody has their own skills and what they're good at, and you kind of have to figure that out. What I have learned is being on camera, that people see at home, it looks so glamorous. But behind the scenes, you are working your tail off, and that is exactly what I've done, whether it's been, being a meteorologist. I had to study things I'd never even heard before and do all this math stuff that I've never done before, but that was what I wanted to do, and I was going to make myself good at it, no matter how many hours it took during the day, no matter how many hours I didn't sleep. And then now that I'm a news anchor, and now that I'm, hosting my own entertainment show, those are different things, too, that I've had to learn, being a horror news anchor and death and destruction and learning politics and things that I never wanted to be a part of. It's so funny, because when I was in college, we had a small little, TV studio on our campus. And one of my professors asked me to do the weather. I'm like, absolutely not. He's like, you may have to do this later in life. I go, no, I'm not. I'm going to be a sports anchor, and I'm going to go straight to ESPN and blah, blah, blah. And then the following year, he's like, can you anchor the news show? I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I don't care to know anything about politics. I don't care to know anything about news. And I don't want to report on death and destruction. And look what I'm doing now. And I absolutely love it. The entertainment, that's just like icing on the cake, and yeah, that takes a lot of work too, because you're interviewing, you got to work on your interview skills and how to work with your interviewee, and constant research on who you're interviewing. So you're always learning something every day. I seriously learn something every day, and I work with great people here that have been in the business for years. I'm kind of the baby at this station. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, you had mentioned something real quick there that I know a lot of people have questions on which way should I go on it, and that is having an agent. I know you've experienced two agents. One was an agent that we mutually had, and then you've moved on to a new agent who has helped you out in some ways. So talk about, I think, maybe the good and the bad that you've had with that.
I started out with an agent, and yeah, Tim, you helped me out, first of all, because when I first got into this business, you just kind of blind. You don't know where you're going. You're like, oh, I want to be on TV, but you don't really know all the aspects that go into it. And when I got my first agent, it's, they knew the smaller markets, and it's wherever your goal is. If you don't have that goal to, be in LA and New York and network and what have you, then, you look at agents that cater to the smaller markets. And what I had and where my agent got me when I first signed with the same agent that Tim did, it got me to that next level, and I kept building on that. But now that I've been in this career for, 8, 9 years, then now I'm trying to figure out where I want to go and what I want to do. So I ended up leaving that agent, and I ended up getting one in New York City. And before I even moved to Cleveland, my agent got me these great interviews. I had interviewed at Fox News in New York and a couple of the local stations in New York City, and it was great for me because I worked on the interview skills. Most of them said, "Oh, we love you, but you need some work, and you need to grow in what you're doing. You're so young." And my agent, she made a great point. You don't want to get swallowed up in this business. Some people can go straight to the top and make it. But as I mentioned earlier, everybody has a different route that they take in life. And an agent can only help you with that. And, I'll send her DVDs and, critiquing and from your hair to what you're saying to slurring words. I mean, like every little bit of this business, obviously everybody watches at home, but your agent is so important. Now, if you can get by without an agent, go for it, because they can cost a lot of money, but then they can also help you along the way.
Well, you have grown so much since we first met. I'm very, very proud of you, and I'm just so happy that things are going well for you. So what's the future hold for Kristi Capel?
Oh, geez. Well, that magic ball. I don't know. Who knows? My dream my entire life has always been to go to New York City. I love the city, and to be, on a network show. Who knows? I'm loving this news anchoring that I'm doing. I'm a meteorologist. I'm qualified with my certificates with that. I can always fall back on that. I love hosting an entertainment show. So, I have got to do more than most, and it's great. So now I need to hone my skills at what I'm going to do and focus on it and hopefully make it to that next level. That would be my dream and my goal. Right. So we're going to put that all together. New York City would be, would definitely be my dream. But where I'm at now in Cleveland, I mean, they've been so nice with me. They've treated me well, and I've learned a lot. So who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I know you're a goal setter. I know you'll get there. It's just a matter of
time. Hey, but if I do go to network,
you'll get a billboard. You'll get.
I will. You'll be the first one, I think. That's
I know.
For
you'll
sure.
be calling me immediately. Hey, very quickly, is there a website that people can see your stuff on?
You can go to my Facebook page, which is Kristi, Kristi _ Capel, Capel, or I'm on Twitter as well. So yeah, you can check me out there. I'm at Fox 8 News right now, so we will see. But I just want to say one thing about you, since you've been bragging on me for like the last 20 minutes here. If you don't know Tim, he's an amazing guy. And in things that he says and advice that he gives will take you to the top. Because you honestly are the first one that I talked to when I first got into this business. It's just a wee little thing, and you're like, Lord, do you need help? I'm your child. But you've helped me along the way, and I appreciate that.
Well, you are very welcome. Folks, that is Kristi Capel. I know you got a busy day ahead of you, and you can go to Fox 8 to see some of her videos, or if you happen to be driving through Cleveland, of course, just look up. You'll see her on one of the many numerous billboards that she now has.
All right.
Kristi, thanks so much for the time today.
You're welcome.
All right, folks, that is Life on Air. This is Tim Tialdo saying the only way to predict your future is to create it. Now go do it. We'll see you next week.